People, we are drawing ever nearer to Fury versus Usyk, to the rematch. I think it's going to be epic. I really do. Live on the Zone pay per view. The link will be in the comments section. The G Man link. I know I have my own link with them, but link will be in the comments section. I attempted, to do a live stream to discuss Fury Usyk, to talk about the undercard, talk about other things, and one thing about living in London, which is something that I didn't think would be an issue, would be Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi in here is not. I'm gonna be kind and say it. It can be not great at times. It's an understatement. And ironically, like the Wi-Fi back home in Dublin, which you'd think where I am, it wouldn't have good Wi-Fi. It's amazing. I mean, the Fury Usyk video I did yesterday, the 3 reasons why, I was recorded it back home. I could upload that video like in 5 minutes. It's one of the reasons why my post fights are always up so quick. I know recording like this is pretty easy, but like those vids are just, they're done. When I did, I forget what video it was now. I think it was the What Went Wrong video. That took like a half hour to upload. Yeah, it's not. I was actually almost late for a party I was going to that night. It's not great. So I will try and do that live tomorrow and make another go of it, because I haven't done that many lives over the last couple of months really, and I neglect them because a lot of people enjoy them. It's a great way for me to, interact with you guys and, have a chat with you. And obviously not literally, but you know what I mean. Responding to the questions that get asked, have a little bit of friendly discussion. So I need to do more of them. I know people ask me about them, and I will try tentatively. I've got nothing on tomorrow night. I'm literally working from home, going to the gym and coming home. So tomorrow night, I have to start packing actually. That's one thing I haven't done. But yeah, we will do one tomorrow night, hopefully, because I work from home tomorrow. So if it doesn't drop, I'll probably be okay to do it. Long-winded one, but apologies for anyone who was locking in. On that live, for the brief part that I did talk about, there was discussions about the undercard. Now, when this undercard was announced, it was kind of like, right, how to explain it? You knew the main event was what we wanted to see, and a lot of times with shows in the UK and some Canelo shows in the US, you know that it's a pay-per-view. It's a pay-per-view really because of who's in it. If it's Canelo versus, say, Triple G, I remember Joshua Klitschko, that was a particularly poor undercard. And some undercards in the UK and the US, they've been bad in the past. Pay-per-view undercards at that. Because everyone is really tuning in to see the main event. The main two guys fight, whoever they may be. That's who people care about. And with this fight, it's a bit of the same. The only difference is that on these Saudi cards, they have done undercards at a very high level. I mean, the February 22nd card, that is just, I've said it once and I'll say it again, it is absolutely phenomenal. It really, truly is. It's a phenomenal undercard. So the Saudis have a very high standard. The show they put on, that was a free show, the Latino night, that was pretty good, even for a show that ostensibly was, and it was free to watch. So that was not the strongest, but it was still good. This is a pay-per-view card, and I have to say, looking at it, there is some good fights here. But really, we're feeling the loss of Boacek versus Madrimov. I think that was what, for me, kept this card as decent. It's now, now it's not as good. It's as simple as that. They have added some fights to it. Edgar Ramirez, who was 10-1, against the guy called Andrade, I think is how you say it, Andre. Novkitsi, I think is how you say that guy's name. Is Ukrainian. Oh, he's a heavyweight, 6'6", based out of US. Igis Klimas is his manager. Interesting. So yeah, this is, I don't recognize anybody on his resume, so this is a heavyweight, probably with Usyk stable, fighting this Edgar Ramirez guy who took his O. Jonathan Rice, no shame in that. And actually, Jonathan Rice was 3-1 at the time, so I think probably even who was matching him didn't probably realise what they had in front of him, because Jonathan Rice is somewhat useful. And they also have this guy, Daniel Lappin versus Dylan Collin. Never heard of Dylan Collin. He is a French fighter. That's not a name you would associate with a Frenchman, but all right. And this guy is Ukrainian as well. I would imagine 6'6", and he is a light heavyweight. So yeah, like not exactly the most competitive fights, or may on par be competitive. Who knows? But not exactly a who's who. And then obviously Boacek versus Ishmael Davis. Israel Davis, he stepped in on very, very short notice, a week's notice, to fight Josh Kelly in Wembley Stadium. And he lost, but he gave a good account of himself. Had he had more time to prepare, who knows what might have happened. Because, again, I think Josh Kelly is okay, but, he's not leagues above these guys. And, you look at someone like Craig Richards. Craig Richards is a solid European level fighter, but he was fairly well beaten. Didn't take a beating, but fairly well beaten by Frank Buglioni many years back. He actually stepped up from 168 to challenge Frank Buglioni. But who would you say had the better career in the long run? It was Craig Richards. Craig Richards didn't do anything amazing, but he still, in my opinion, operated at a much higher level than Buglioni ever did. So, but saying that, he took a fight on very short notice. So you do have to look and say, okay, I know it's a loss, but in the context, on short notice, to give a good account of yourself, you can probably do something. I think Boacek is much better than Josh Kelly, much, much better. And I think this is going to be a much, much, much tougher fight and a more decisive loss. Dennis McCann, Peter McGrail. I quite like that fight. It's an interesting one. I would make Dennis McCann the slight favourite. He is more experienced as a professional, even though I believe he's the younger man, I believe. Yeah, he's actually quite significantly younger. I think he's only, 23 years old. So he's quite significantly younger, but he's been a pro since 2019. So he's been around. Peter McGrail, let's see what he has left. Isaac Low IQ versus Lee McGregor. That fight might actually be entertaining. I fancy Lee McGregor in that fight. I fancy him to win. I think he'll take Isaac Low out. I do. I think he'd take Isaac Low. Even at domestic level, was never that good. Easy to hit, no real punching power. Doesn't particularly seem to hold a good shot either. So yeah, I fancy Lee McGregor in that fight. Johnny Fisher, Dave Allen. Yeah. I like Dave Allen's YouTube channel. I don't like his chances in this fight. I think Johnny Fisher... I like Johnny Fisher as a person. To me, I know the kind of Bosch, all that kind of Essex thing, and I've never been to Romford. It's not too far from me, but I don't think I'm going to go anytime soon. Although I did hear there's a good pub called McCaffrey's in Seven Kings, which is not too far from Romford. People have told me it does a good stew, so it might be as close as I'll ever get. But yeah, I like him as a guy. He seems screwed on. He seems to, I don't want to say know his limit. Maybe that's the wrong way to say it, but he's not fooling himself into thinking that he is a Moses Atauma prospect. But as he did say, he is a tricky away game for any fighter. As in, you're a Man United, you're an Arsenal, or maybe not maybe Man United, so unfortunately is the wrong way to use it. Maybe you're a Liverpool and an Arsenal, and you go to Brighton. It's a tough away game. That's what Johnny Fisher sees himself as. So, and I expect him to beat I expect him to beat Dave Allen. Well, relative he is. He might go the distance. It might go some rounds. But Dave Allen is just... at this point in his career, he's taken some he's taken a lot of punishment. I was going to say taken some. People always reference the David Price fight and they say, that was the most punishment Dave Allen took. I would actually say the Tony Yoka fight probably, that was a real, I don't think people have seen that. That was a really punishing fight. That was genuinely a hard fight to watch. And that's just one of two. That's not even one of just two. The Luis Ortiz fight, that was an 8-rounder. That was on a Joshua undercard. That was a really, he has tongue cut a bit as well. That was a really punishing fight. He got stopped in that fight late. Dave Allen's been in, and God knows the amount. I remember years ago being in the same pro gym. Although he was an amateur at the time. Thomas Carty was in the same pro gym. He was still an amateur, and he was even saying that he'd heard stories about Dave Allen in sparring, saying that Dave Allen, even in sparring, needed to be hit hard before he kind of came to life. Even in sparring, God knows the amount of punishment Dave Allen has taken. God knows. So I'd say he will go the distance. Dave Allen may quit, although I don't think he will. He might go the distance. And then Moses Atelma versus Dempsey McKean. You know, I would move Atelma versus McKean to co-main. In the nicest way, I would move Boacek Davis down one, and I would have Atelma co-main. If I was Turkey Al-Sheikh or whoever's doing the running order, I would have them in the co-main event, because I think that Atelma will be one of the figureheads of this new era of heavyweight boxing. I think he needs to be featured predominantly high on the card. I think he's going to have a big year next year, and I think he deserves it. I think that fight, for me, is a more intriguing fight than Davis versus Boacek, in my opinion. I think it's a good way to get set up for the main event. So for me, I would be saying let Atelma go in there co-main. That's what I'd be saying. I think he'll beat Dempsey McKean. I think he's talented enough. I mean, again, I don't want to sound harsh to Johnny Fisher. I don't mean this to come across as harsh or rude or in any way. But Johnny Fisher's been a pro now for nearly 4 years. He's in his mid-20s, and he's fighting the likes of Dave Allen, and that's seen as a step up. And you've Moses Atelma, he's not even 20 years old yet, and he's fighting Dempsey McKean, whose only loss came to Filip Hrgovic, who's lost to Daniel Dubois, has aged quite well in comparison to others. I mean, he definitely did a better job with Daniel Dubois, much better, can't even compare the two, than Anthony Joshua did. So, that's the level of talent we're dealing with Atelma. And I think young Moses Atelma is going to win this fight. He may go some rounds, but ultimately I think he will definitely have the beating of Dempsey McKean. Is it a good undercard? It's okay. By Saudi standards, this is the weakest card, in my opinion, they've done. But it's not terrible. There have been way worse undercards that have been behind a paywall, and yeah, they've been one-fight shows. That's definitely not a one-fight show. There's fights on there that you do want to watch. So for that, I would say it's not good, but it's not terrible at the same time. Let me know your thoughts on the Fury Usyk undercard in the comment section below. I will leave it there, people. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And until next time, peace.